After about 24 hours of pondering after the last video I put up on what it is, the fear of the Lord, I was very excited. I found exactly what it is described in the Bible itself. I'll post a link to that video below. It's in Proverbs, and it's scattered throughout there, but there's a certain phrase you look for, and when you consolidate them all, you've got your answer. So they're doing some cryptic puzzle stuff in here. And when you look at that video, I forgot to mention, everyone, when you look at those, check the numbers. They're on verse number 3, verse number 10, verse number 33. For those that are following the micro and macro numbering system, they exactly are. So they're staying right with the pattern that at some point in time you go, okay, the more I look at that, the more I see what's going on. All right, now in this case, I discuss and talk about the commonality of this teaching. Everybody, my name is Dan Paulson. Welcome to the video. That this is a global teaching. And if that's the case, that whatever we interpret from this material should be able to be something that's replicated elsewhere in somebody else's teaching in the world that has a completely different sound to it. And that's exactly right. What I'm going to do here, I didn't even think about this. This term, fear of the Lord, is a very complex term, but once we understand what it is, we're going to find it super common, and it's something we need to understand right off the bat, and it's one of those that I would call a backwards term. I want to be naked before you. What does that mean? It sounds like, wait a minute, dude, don't take your clothes off. You're an old man these days. Nobody wants to see that. Yeah, that's not what it means. Spiritually, it means, you know what? I got nothing to hide, nothing to fear. I have no shame. I don't live in that way. So the terms, you might not engage with it correctly. Being drunk off of new wine. I am now feeling good off of my new life experience after the flood, and I'm uncovered. So it becomes difficult. People that go, he's drunk and naked after the flood. What is that? That means after his purging, he was uncovered and he felt good. That's what that means. We need to get there with the material in order to interact with it. These are pathways inward for us. But what then, if it's held in that very complex verbiage of fear the Lord, can we find it very simply in the Buddha's material? I'm going to go right to the Dhammapada, and we're going to hit it, and we're going to make comparisons, and we're going to put this in a list of all kinds of the same concept, exactly what this is. I do want to say that everybody has a destination. Every teaching has a destination in it. All right. And that destination's a mental destination. It's a psychological destination. It's one of inner peace, of nirvana, of kingdom of heaven within, as it were. What is this one right here? Let's go to the Buddha and understand something from there. And I might reference Lao Tzu too. All right. I've got two translations here, but I'm going to use the Mueller translation. This is right in the very beginning of the Dhammapada. If you were reading the Dhammapada, you're getting Buddha's pivotal work in the same way that if you wanted Jesus's pivotal work, you would start by reading the Sermon on the Mount. This is the equivalent of the Sermon on the Mount. Here it is. Here's my teachings. Okay, and then of course there's an entire lifestyle that goes with the religion, but here's the basic core teaching without the religion. Okay, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. It is founded on our thoughts. It is made up of our thoughts. If a man speaks or acts with an evil thought, pain follows him, as the wheel follows the foot of the ox that draws the carriage. All right, we need to understand that when we are translating these or putting them into or interpreting them, rather, we're putting ourselves into them, that we become a component part of the verse in this particular style. As long as there are analogous components in here, we got a foot of an ox drawing the carriage, pain following. What we have is pain following as a wheel. We have cyclical pain right there. Follows the foot of the ox that draws the carriage. You, me, whoever is reading this is the foot of the ox that draws the carriage. That's us going through life. What we are, all that we are, is the result of what we have thought. It is founded on our thoughts. It is made up of our thoughts. So he's saying that we are products of our memories, our bundle of memories. Jesus is going to call that the mote in your eye, if it's a bad thing, if it's bad, derogatory. If a man speaks or acts with an evil thought, pain follows him. Why is that? We're speaking. These are analogous terms. Maybe you don't say anything bad, but you think things bad, you feel things bad, you've had things bad happen. Life still sucks. Pain follows, like the wheel of the ox that draws the carriage. So this evil thought we've got to be careful of. It's an analogous term. It doesn't mean I'm having a physical evil thought. It means that I've got an evil memory, an evil thought in my mind that I have decided. And it might be because I was a victim, so I hate that son of a bitch and I want to, whatever, something like that. That is something that we're holding on to, of the nature of that energy, of the nature of that emotion, which then creates it as a part of us, which then opens us up to experiencing that very thing. We live life trying to move one direction while nevertheless leaving in place unresolved issues that causes us to live in the cycle of the past as we're moving forward, re-experiencing what we have unresolved. The thistles in our garden, emerging every season. The judgments we have made, emerging every time they're triggered. In fact, this is why it's good to have other translations. This one's a little thicker, but listen what we have up here in a different translation. Mind precedes thoughts. Mind is their chief. Their quality is made by mind. What is mind? It's the collection of who and what we are. It is what your overall experience is. Your overall experience precedes thoughts. Mind is the chief. The quality is made by mind. It is with a base mind one speaks or acts. Through that, suffering follows him like a wheel follows the ox's foot. This one says if with a base mind. It doesn't say if one speaks or acts with an evil thought. It says with a base mind one speaks or acts. So that makes it a little more approachable, I think. A base mind is one that is unaware, that is judging life experiences that you see thinking, well, that sucks, well, that's stupid, that's this, that, without realizing there's something that's constantly driving it. And as long as you keep judging what you see, you just become a downstream product of what you're observing. And you need to step back and go, there's a cause and effect happening there that I don't need to be a part of. That's life. That's where I emerge from. That's what's happening. We are living unaware through our thoughts. And through that suffering that we gather along the way, our experience is going to follow us cyclically through life. Once we begin to have experiences and judge them, they become a part of us and they continue to cycle throughout life. So what we have here is a very Buddha, very almost plain language way of telling us that you're going to be a product of your experiences and the way you judge your experiences, and the negative and derogatory ones are going to follow you cyclically throughout life. Conversely, all that we are is a result of what we have thought. It is founded on our thoughts. It is made up of our thoughts. So far the same. However, here's where it changes. If a man speaks or acts with a pure thought, happiness follows him like a shadow that never leaves him. And the other translation is pretty similar. If with a pure mind one speaks or acts. Through that, now we have to know that pure mind does not mean conscious mind only. The mind has much depth to it. You need purity in the whole mind. What do we live through? Not what do we act like we live through. What do we truly live through? Only you know in your own emotional experience. This is what gets us to nirvana. The shadow that never leaves him, that's another way of saying nirvana. That's happiness. Follows him like a shadow that never leaves. I got to make sure that I leave that part in. I'll make sure that part's there. Happiness, you just stay bathed in that. Okay, I feel good. I'm here. I'm not frazzled. I'm not living a horrible life. I'm not sitting here in quietude, seemingly physically, while my mind is frazzled and I can't resolve things and I've got conflict and desires and wishes and all kinds of things like that. So right here, what we have is a very plain language way of Buddha telling us, if you look at it, that you're a product of the way you've judged your life experiences. And the manner in which you hold those right there are going to continue to follow you, like cyclically throughout life. Now, somehow, the idea that we're looking for here is, what is our desire here in this case? Happiness that follows like a shadow that never leaves. But it's by knowing and understanding that we are mental products of our life experiences and that we must interact with them. Now, that's knowledge that we have the fear of the Lord. There's one big difference. In Buddha's material, he's not utilizing that mental hierarchy, and he's not having us connect with the higher awareness. He's just telling you, fix it in your mind. You're a product of those. There are That's just the very first verse in the book. That's what your ultimate goal is. And don't get me wrong, this is going to move on and cover other things. Meditation itself is the art of sitting there and spending time practicing living from the higher awareness, whether we know it or not, and not living through the memories. It's practicing getting to that point, which is exactly what we're supposed to do. Whether you're doing it through meditation or prayer, what you're doing is, to me, I've got my little, you can see right where my finger is, shelf in the back right there. I've got these little like rock cairns that I made and glued together. They're decorations set up around. I don't really need them anymore, but I used to have them set up, and I would spot them, and it always made, I decided that when I saw one, it would make me remember that if I'm thinking about something at that time and I'm frazzled, to stop and go, oh, go back to the higher awareness. Oh, yep, here you are again, thinking about this. Oh, here you are again. We habituate. So the more you can step into living from the higher awareness, the more it works there. Meditation is exactly what that is. So there is a mental process. Meditation is not living through the memories. Living through the higher awareness, not living through the memories. Let's make a parallel comparison with the Tao Te Ching Chinese, roughly contemporaneous with Buddha, and the same thing we have going on here. The Tao Te Ching is his pivotal teaching in the same way the Dhammapada is Buddha's and the Sermon on the Mount is Jesus's. This one is the Tao Te Ching, Stephen Mitchell translation. Right off the beginning, verse number 1, the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. These are always important to know right up front. There's a solid lesson here, but you have to interact with the verse. You have to question it. You have to be the person that goes, what is the Tao? What do you mean if you tell me it's not eternal? What is eternal then? I don't get it. What is this important? People sometimes will tell you it's nebulous. You'll never understand it. That means they can't understand it. Ask yourself, did it come from somebody that was able to come up with something that is it nonsensical or is it a teaching? Is it something that's out of touch for you? If you think so, then it probably is. Here's the deal. Every one of these are mental internal processes. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. If the blind lead the blind, they will both fall into the ditch. Whoever is telling you what to do and how to heal is not helping you heal. Even if you're listening to me right now, if this is the pathway, even if it's the correct pathway, you can listen to me talk, and does it help you feel better? No. What does it take to heal your memories? Who does that? What is the Tao? What is the pathway? The pathway is the pathway to healing, to peace, to inner peace, to the mystery of life. I feel good. What is that path? You can have somebody tell you. You can have somebody tell you that path all day long. That is the correct path. There is a correct path that you can learn, but it's academic. If it's academic, it is not yet the eternal path. It's the true path, but it's not eternal. But you have to be careful with words and translations, though, and look at a variety of things. Okay, so the idea here, then, right up front, the teaching is that it's a internal mental path by the time you work through this. And what did we just hear from Buddha? But right in plain language, right at the first two verses, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. We're mental constructs of our experiences. Right here, it's telling us in a very cryptic way that the pathway that you need to take, the one that's really the true pathway, is going to be when you work this through and you dismiss all the things that don't work and you get on the other side of words, you go, okay, the true path is my personal mental path. Got it. And you listen, and if you're a called person, you're going to go, yeah, that's exactly it. That's how this follows along. If this was in a monomyth, this would be a calling right here. They don't have this as a monomyth. This is just, hey, here's what you do. It's not hidden in a story. The true path is your path. All right, let's move on. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. This is really the beginning of our life. We are, naming is mental awareness. In fact, let's move on a few verses and it'll come online better. The unnameable is the eternally real, and naming is the origin of all particular things. So naming is us beginning to decide things in life, depending on where we come from and what our experiences are and how we judge those experiences. You can live in a house where mommy and daddy are telling you what a wonderful child you are, and you're getting your schoolwork help done and all that kind of stuff, while in the next house the kids are being beat and told what a worthless piece of crap they are and stuff like that. Those children are going to become different products. Naming is the origin of all particular things. Both of those situations, they're growing up through life, naming their life experiences. The unnameable is the eternally real. From where we come from, anything is possible. We can name good or bad. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. It's eternal when we don't decide, I like this, I hate that. We're starting off balanced. We're coming off balance. A Gia Fu Feng translation says the named is the mother of 10,000 things. So this is going to give us the idea then that, that's not just one or two things. That's everything. What is that? That's that is your memories. Free from desire, you realize the mystery. Desire is hanging on to things. These are deep levels. It doesn't mean I physically do or don't desire that. You might have something, I got something happen inside of me that just pisses me out. I can't even deal with it. It just makes me feel enraged. I can't even deal with it. And you would say, I don't desire that. You know what? If you don't interpret the analog, you can't interact with the material. It doesn't mean physical desire. What this means is that you've, at a very deep mental level, you're holding on to something that you're not letting go of. And you may not emotionally want it, but you're not letting it go. Free from what you free from what you hang on to. You realize the mystery of life. You've got to become free of those things. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. What do we have right there? This is Buddha's caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. If you have had an evil thought, the wheel follows, like the pain follows, like the wheel follows the foot of the ox that draws the carriage, right there. Free from desire, you realize the mystery. With pure thought, happiness is like a shadow that never leaves. Yet mystery and manifestation come from the same source. This source is called darkness. Okay, what I'm going to say right here is we got to stop and do you understand how if you interpret those, they become the same thing, that they're telling us that we are mental products of our life experiences and that we get caught up in that and pain is going to follow us cyclically as a result because of cause and effect, and all of it comes from the same place. We haven't got into healing or anything like that yet. But there's going to be a goal in here. In one case, it's going to say we want that happiness like a shadow that never leaves from the Buddha. Or what was the other one? Free from desire, you realize only the mystery of life. Ah, yes, things flow free now. I'm not caught up in this cyclical chain of things that I have unresolved. I've unfettered myself from those things, and life now flows freely as a result. And it does work that way. Life flows differently based on the nature of how you've changed the state of your memories. You have to give it time, and it's not an easy thing to do. It can be very difficult, depending on the nature of it. Sometimes you change your mind and go, yeah, I was wrong about that. Other times you go, yeah, that was very hurtful. I'm not gonna have an easy time with this, and it'll take some work. That's not for the scope of this video, though. So anyway, you just look at that and go, okay, I see that in the material. What happens then if we get back to the fear of God? What the hell is the fear of God? The fear of God is strangely this process right here. This understanding, this knowledge, the wisdom, the grasping of things, however we add in the higher awareness, the knowledge of the fact that we're not just meditating and trying to find an empty space. We are consciously realizing there's something here. I can engage with this part of my mind right here in my consciousness. I don't have to sit quietly and try to dismiss myself from my thoughts that come and go as you're meditating. You know that that's what's happening. If you realize there's a higher awareness there and that you can escape things, you can get into that. What happens is quietness, quietude, silence. Your thoughts quit. At nighttime, if you wake up at 3, 4 in the morning, you're tossing and turning, you can't get out of a certain thought pattern, a voice comes in and tells you, shh, you gotta sleep. If you can engage with that right there, you will see when that comes in, it doesn't feel the emotional state. It's a part of you that is the real part of you. We tend to just be allowing our consciousness to experience life through our emotional state of the things that we're carrying with us up here. So that drives our life. to change the future. We have to change sometimes the past. What we're doing here is exactly what, there's a part where the DVD, The Secret, said that's just called so what. Every master from antiquity said, no, the so what is what drives your life. You don't so what that away. You resolve this and life unfolds the way you want to. They're telling you forget that stuff and just move ahead. Anyway, life doesn't actually work that way. All right, without sitting down and making up a list, if you started thinking about each thing, like if you're in Taoism, you're looking for an inner peace. There's one core. You might have a different religion. You might have somewhere, because of where you live on the planet, your religious beliefs and cultural beliefs are different from somebody else's, but all of them are made on this exact same template. Somebody is smarter than everybody who's on the outside. All the people, most everybody's on the outside, where all the roads lead to destruction. There's one path inward. When you find that, everything comes online. The same happens with this. So it's very, the vehicle itself is older, the Jewish material. It's, I can't say culturally what's going on, but you can see that the nature of the analogous material, it can be something that's very benign or something that's very impactful in the mind of a human. And religion itself is very impactful in the mind of a human because it's based in a fear and a moving towards joy and life and non-death and things like that. So somehow it really hooks into the human psyche and it takes on a different life of its own. All right, that having been said, let me just talk about a couple of things. If you're in Buddhism, you're looking for nirvana. In Taoism, you're looking for a good flow in the Tao. You're looking for that mystery of life. So mystery of life and nirvana. Jesus has got the kingdom of heaven within. If you were to look at King Arthur, you're going to see that he's looking for the Holy Grail. Jason and the Argonauts, what are they looking for? The Golden Fleece. There's this goal, and there's things like the Golden Fleece. Right off the bat, in order for you to get your kingdom back, you must get the Golden Fleece. The Golden Fleece, you must sail to the far side of the world. This is you turning inward, sailing back to the beginning of your life. When we get into Jesus material, he's going to say, enter the kingdom of heaven like a child. It's going to go so far in the Gospel of Thomas to specify a child 7 days old, which fits into a 3-7 grid, a pattern of going back to a time in life before we had judged and made all the judgments. Of course, we can't get to that place anymore, right? Eden is cut off. You can't get back there. Why? When you were in Eden, we were ignorant. We were happy because we didn't know. Now we know. If we're looking for happiness while we have knowledge that we can no longer get rid of, we have to somehow now trap the memories away. What we have to do is forgive somehow and resolve those issues, disconnect from, somehow rise above our humble beginnings. So all of these goals are meant to represent the same thing. There's an internal place within. And when we get to, oddly enough, in this Jewish version right here, the nature of the verbiage is difficult. Fear of the Lord. Then you go through and look, though, and you figure out what it is, and it keeps telling you the fear of the Lord is wisdom. It's knowledge. It's understanding what the Lord is. It is never at any point telling you that it is something that you should be afraid of, that you're going to die from if you don't do this, or anything like that. Never. It's telling you that this word right here, forget what you think. The fear of the Lord does not... Get rid of the idea that you understand what fear means. Give it a completely different definition. Fear in this case means knowledge and wisdom of what to do. In fact, because that very version was repeated exactly 3 times within the entire book of Proverbs, that exact phraseology right there, then that puts it on the 7-3 grid as part of the coded pattern that they have that's letting you know that this point right here, this term right here, being repeated 3 times, knowledge of the Lord, that's like your pure state right there again. You're going back to that early time, but here's the knowledge also of what it takes to get there. It's not just get there. It's like, here's what it's going to take to get there. So it's more informative. All right, let's look at Proverbs for a minute and see if it has anything Buddha or Lao Tzu sounding in it. It's going to have a lot more complexity to it. It is not plain language. It's meant to be very obscure. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult to extract. All right, the Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, the king of Israel. This qualifies who it is. Solomon is repeated 3 times. Good thing. Proverbs, these are the teachings of, that's fine. You always have to qualify the work. It's coming around word of mouth. You don't just start right off with the people would say, where does that come from? So this is a Proverbs, the Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, the king of Israel. That's the, if you grab a book, that's the cover. That tells you who wrote it and what the name of it is. All right, to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice and judgment and equity, to give subtlety to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion. To give subtlety to the simple. That's important. We have to understand something here. There's something simple. There is. A wise man will hear. What did we just come from? And a wise man means wise person. Anytime they're using that man means consciousness. Male or female doesn't matter in this material. And a wife or mother is going to be the inner self. If there's a father and a mother, that's the conscious and the subconscious. And if there's a son, that is a product of those two. You can have internal arguments, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to divide. All right, this is us. Are you called? This is the calling. A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels. All right. We got to gather together. We don't have wise counsels. Somewhere there is. I don't have one. To understand a proverb and the interpretation, the words of the wise, and their dark sayings. All right. We have to interpret every proverb. To understand a proverb and the interpretation. Not one or two or three, every freaking one of them. All right, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Here we go. This is what we just had in the last video. We're going to get that. Despise wisdom and instruction. I've got that appears 18 times. That's a part of the Abrahamic 3-7 pattern. 18 is a step up from 17. 17 is pure state. 18 is, that would be like a step from 7 to 8. Right there, from pure state in Eden to first sin. All right, my son, hear the instruction of your father and forsake not the law of your mother. All right, now this means our inner selves. This does not mean your physical mom and dad. You might say, yes, I do want to listen to my mother and father. You might say, I got beat. I got told what a piece of shit I was. I got told I was worthless and would never amount to anything. What am I to do? Does this fit for everybody? Only if it applies to your inner self. Hear the instruction of your father and forsake not the law of your mother. The instruction of your father, the consciousness is going to make the decision. The law of your mother, you're going to live through the bundle of memories. This would be like that Eve will be subservient to Adam. The father is the consciousness decides the quality of the memory and the experience and then stores it away as a memory. That becomes the law of the mother, the instruction of the father and the law of the memory. The instruction of the father is naming. Naming is the origin of all particular things. And forsake not the law of your mother. You will live through those experiences. All right, check it out. Extreme geek interpretation right here. This is from Proverbs. My son, hear the instruction of of thy father and forsake not the law of thy mother. What would this be? My son, my inner self. My inner self emerging, my son, my inner self emerging, you will become a product of your thoughts and their perceptions, conscious of your thoughts and their perceptions from your experiences, from your judged experiences, from your judged experiences. Yep. And emotions will emerge as a result of that. That's hear the instruction of your father. And forsake not the law of your mother. That is, now that you have become this product, you're going to live through that. And forsake not the law of your mother. This could be good or bad, though. It doesn't say whether it's good instruction or bad instruction. You can say, man, I really love that. That's wonderful. It's a great feeling. We helped a lot of people. Or you can say, God, I can't believe that he did that to me. I was just a kid. They're so filthy, ugly. Oh my God. You know, what was it? That's the instruction of your father that gets stored away. And the law of your mother is the experience, the emotional experience as a part of the memory that is going to continue the law of the mother. But it'll be good or bad. Will emerge. Okay? Do you see that one? But it's really buried in a mental hierarchy. You have to understand what those parts mean. What did we just hear from Lao Tzu? Naming is the origin of all particular things, and caught in desire you see only the manifestations. Right here, naming is the origin of all particular things. We just became products of our judged experiences, and then caught in what those are, we see the return of them over and over again. We're seeing where we are, what? We're caught in desire you see only the manifestations. We're not forsaking the law of our mother, is what that means. Naming is the origin of all particular things. My son, hear the instructions of my father. My father names it, and then my mother manifests it. It emerges from her like pain in childbirth. It's the memories that are hurt. What did Buddha just say? I'm going to paraphrase the heck out of it because it was so big. We are products of our thoughts, good or bad, and have cyclical pain or unending happiness, depending on how much of each is a part of us. Mental processes. We are products of the law of the mother. Products of our thoughts, good or bad. That's the father. That's the naming, is the origin of all particular things. It's very thick, but if you can see that, you can see they're all the same thing. Proverbs is more like Taoism than Buddhism. All right, for they shall be an ornament of grace unto your head and chains about your neck. There we go, our cyclical. They're going to be good things and bad things. All of them happen. My son, if sinners entice thee, consent you not. What are sinners? Sinners are people who are not enlightened. They're not elevated. We're going to all become sinners at first. For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. What that means is we're just going to unknowingly judge our experiences with emotion, and we're going to live with hatred and anger and shame and all those things. Those are going to be called sins, and those are analogs. If people that live like that, which is all of us, entice you, consent thou not. Yeah, we're going to anyway. Okay. If they say, come with us, let us lay wait for blood, and let us lurk privily for the innocent without cause. Let us swallow them up alive as the grave, and whole as those who go down into the pit. We shall all find precious substance and fill our houses with spoil. Cast in your lot among us. Let us all have one purse. So it's like join us in our bad adventures here. Remember, this is playing out inside of our psyche. This is not people in the world. This is us. We're going to go out and have life experiences. We're going to have first sin. And that's what's represented here, is this enticement to come and have first sin. Marry Pharaoh in chapter 12 of Genesis, the idea that your inner being becomes corrupted. This is the corruption idea there. But this is an admonishment to don't do that. Refrain from footsteps from their path. Do not go that way. Do not become product of your life experience. For their feet run to evil and make haste to shed blood. We just live unaware. Surely in vain the net is spread in the sight of any bird. Surely in vain is the net is spread in sight of any bird. You know, this is thick, but I think it might be there. Think about it. If all of the plants growing in the garden are the things that emerge from you, what are the birds in the air in this story? Thoughts in your mind? And you're trying to stop them. So the nets, you're trying to catch those thoughts to no avail. You're trying to quell your thoughts. It doesn't work. Son of a... Here that is in the Enuma Elish from the Babylonians. We're right in, what is it, Tablet 1, yeah. And what's happened is things have gone crazy. Right here, there's a term called Andaruna. Do you see that? Andaruna is the meeting place of the gods. This plays out in the mind, and the gods are the thoughts, the things that have gone awry in life, the things you can't settle down. This represents our early self. That generation of gods would gather together for wild revels, so they proved bothersome to Tiamat. Their hullabaloo echoed. Tiamat's the inner self. All this commotion proved unsettling to Tiamat's inner being, and she was bothered by all of their activity within Anderuna. There was nothing Apsu could do to mitigate their carousing, but there was nothing Tiamat would do to quiet them down. Now, right here, this represents each individual at a point in time in your life where your mind is frazzled and you can't settle down. And no matter how much troublesome their conduct became to her, regardless of how rowdy things were, she just put up with it. Okay, so I'm going to switch back. All right, here we are back at Proverbs again. What was this one? Surely in vain the net is spread in sight of any bird. So that one's a very short verse, but what is that? If we think of that, what is that in the mind? How does that play out in the psyche? The birds would be something that fly in the mind. They're not necessarily manifest, but they're things that are up ahead. And in vain the net is spread in the sight of any bird. So it doesn't matter. You cannot catch, you cannot stop them. And that would be, you get that right. And the same thing would be then the gods in Anderuna. It gets too raucous up there, and Tiamat cannot, no matter what, can't settle them down. That's like the net in vain, no matter what, can't catch the thoughts. So that's where you start seeing things, but it's really this, the analog is like a language. It's very difficult to crack into it. And they lay wait for their own blood. They lurk privily for their own lives. This is, they live only concerned for themselves. Selfish. So the ways of everyone that is greedy of gain, which taketh away the life of the owners thereof. That happens in the physical world, but what is this? Since this is a repeating motif on a template, I can go somewhere else and develop a correlation where this is talking about, and that is back in Genesis in chapter 6, where the sons of God come down and corrupt the beautiful daughters of women and produce the giants' offspring that were in the world then and are of today as well. That represents the idea that the beautiful daughters of man represents the idea that our inner qualities have been corrupted by life experiences. And what the Nephilim are not physical giants. What they are is things that act out of us that we don't have any control over. That's why they're giants. In the Enuma Elish, we just saw that those were the early gods that had to be destroyed. They were not the sons of God. There's a little bit something different going on, but in all cases, they're representing the idea that our early selves have become corrupted. So when we get here, that's exactly what we're seeing. And in a different sound to it right here is that as they lay wait for their own blood, they lurk privily for their own lives. This is not people out there. This is within us. We have certain animal qualities, I guess, that we just want them to live. We need to rise above certain things, and we may not want them. They may be things that we just have a hold of that are acting out through us. So are the ways of everyone that is greedy of gain, which taketh away the life of the owners thereof. So that would be like the corrupting of the beautiful daughters of the beautiful daughters of men. They've been corrupted. They've lost their own lives. We now have qualities in us that we're not happy with. I don't like this. I've lost control of myself. Which taketh away the life of the owners thereof. Yeah, we're going to have to go back later and get it. Okay, wisdom crieth without. She uttereth her voice in the streets. I'm not sure what that is. It's on verse 20. Wisdom crieth without. She uttereth her voice in the streets. She cry in the chief place of concourse, in the openings of the gates in the city. She uttereth her words, saying, How long, you simple ones, will you love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge. She cries in chief place of concourse. That's going to be the mind where you resolve things. In the opening of the gates, that's going to be, we have to turn inward, open through the gate, through the narrow gate. In the city she uttereth her words, saying, How long, you simple ones, will you love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorning, and the fools hate knowledge. So yeah, okay, so this is the admonishment to the inner self, how long you want to live that way. You know, there's kind of an aggressive correlation in Genesis, Sodom. Sodom represents your inner self that needs to be destroyed. And here we have the person opening the gates, turning into the city. This represents the higher awareness or something. It's held a little bit differently, but it represents something that is turning inward and admonishing the people within the city. How long are you going to live this way? How long are you going to live your life without controlling it, without understanding, without being aware of it? I'm going to turn inward. The openings of the gate. Okay. Turn you at my reproof. I'm going to, turn away. I will pour my spirit unto you and will make known my words to you. I'm going to teach you something. What I'm going to do is make a motif comparison between that and a full-blown monomyth over at Ezekiel. If we go there, what I want to say, that the words to you right there, this is right into chapter 2 right here, and then we get into chapter 3 right here. Okay, this is as he's getting underway. It's held differently. The teaching is different. This is as if you are going on an adventure where the other one is not this way. It's not held as if you are taking the trip. It's just being told as, here, you sit down, I'm going to teach you what to do. This one, however, is somebody going through the motions. And let's see. So what we have is God talking to Ezekiel and telling him, and when I looked, behold, a hand was sent to me, and lo, a book was therein. And he spread it before me, and it was written within and without, and there was written therein lamentations and mourning and woe. Moreover, he said to me, Son of man, eat that you find this roll. Eat this roll, and go speak to the house of Israel. So I opened my mouth, and he caused me to eat that roll. And he said to me, Son of man, cause your belly to eat, and fill your bowels with this roll that I give you. Then did I eat it, and it was in my mouth as honey for sweetness. Now, if we go back to what we have at verse 23 is this right here. Turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you. I will make known my words unto you. Right there. Very short, very succinct, covers the same motif. The other one's a big story with a lot of fancy carrying going on right there. But what is this? This is knowledge of what to do. You must turn inward, and you must heal yourself. The other one, when you're reading something like Ezekiel, you look at it and go, that's just weird stuff. How can you eat a roll? How can you do stuff like that? Those are the things that should teach us. You know what? You have to make it about the spiritual thing. When you're consuming something here, you're eating something specific. That means you're learning what to do. They're analogous representations. When you're consuming in the physical world, you're eating. When you're consuming in the mental world, you're learning. What are you learning? What are you experiencing? What is your life? What are the fruits of that learning, so to speak, and the experiences? So you have to look at the words that way to interpret them and to interact with them. Because I have called and you refused, I have stretched out my hand and no man regarded. But you have set at naught all my counsel and would not none of my reproof. So you're not paying attention to me. You're not doing what I'm saying. I'm telling you to heal and you're not healing. I'm leaving the past behind. We got a failure to leave the past. Pharaoh says you can go. No, you can't. You can go. No, you can't. This one is saying, I have called, you refused. I have reproved, made my words for you to know. But you have not at my counsel and would none of my reproof. Okay. I will also laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear comes. That's an interesting thing. I'll laugh at your calamity. You're having like laughing at somebody that's like somebody's a smarty pants and then they fall in the mud and you're laughing at them or something. I don't know why that just flashed in my head. Okay. And you know what? I just realized that the laugh and the other stuff may not be factors. What are we learning in that right there? That I will, what does it say? I will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear cometh. This is all internal to us anyway. Are we really laughing? Are we really mocking ourselves? Or is this just letting us know that because of your reluctance to do as I say, you're going to have calamity and fear. You will have calamity and fear. And when your fear comes, desolation and destruction is a whirlwind, cyclical. Cyclical. The destruction is a whirlwind. There's your cyclical pain right there. There's your pain follows, like the wheel follows the foot of the ox that draws the carriage, when distress and anguish cometh upon you. Yeah. See that? In fact, we just saw Lao Tzu. Let's put him in here. You see only the manifestations, depending on whatever you've named. Destruction cometh as a whirlwind. The pain continues to cycle. Pain follows like a wheel. It continues to cycle. You see only the manifestations of whatever it is you... It's called desire, but it's whatever you have unresolved in your mind. All of them are the same exact, mentally interactive step. Same exact motif, held in verbiage, so different you can see how difficult it is until you understand how to read the analogous verbiage. Then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer, and they shall seek me early, but they shall not find me. For they that hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord, the knowledge, the wisdom, they would none of my counsel, they despised all my reproof. Therefore they shall eat of the fruit of their own way and be filled with their own devices. Therefore you're just going to live your life based on the experiences you have. If you're not going to rise above that stuff and learn how to let it behind, then you just live through it. For the turning away of the simple shall slay them, and the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. But those who hearken unto me shall dwell safely, and shall be quiet from the fear of evil. Shall be quiet from the fear of evil. Remember, evil is the life-judged experiences. We want to be quiet from the fear, the knowledge. You have to be, somehow something there. For the turning away of the simple shall slay them, and the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. That's got a deeper meaning. I don't know what it means. What are those analogs? The turning away of the simple shall slay them. What are simple? What's turning away? Turning away of the simple. Slay, destroy. And the prosperity, the richness, I don't know. I can't unwrap that one. They get thick. They're old. They're very old. All right. That's only chapter 1. What do we have here? We've got this idea that here's a teaching. It's about wisdom and judgment. It's for those of thee that are wise. It's time for you to turn inward and to follow this course. You're going to be living through the judgments that you make and the experiences that you hold inside of you. They're going to be both good and bad. Don't live based on the outer judgments of the world. Let those go. Otherwise, you're not going to live happily. You will, if part of you is bad, all of you will be bad. You know what? Let me try to put a better face to that one right there. What I'm talking about is feeling. If you feel pure and clean, you're pure and clean. Let's take a clean glass of water on a hot summer day. There's nothing in there that's impure. And then scoop something out of some pond that's out there in the desert that's got it's dirty, it's brown, it's got segmented worms swimming around it. And look at the two and go, yuck, which one do you want? Which one's pure? Which one's not? Now, take some of this water and pour it into the pure glass, just a little bit. Which one do you want to drink? I'm sure you'd have a preference, but you'd go, what did you just do? You took purity and made it unpure. When you're on a path, sometimes that happens. If you really are looking to resolve things that make you feel bad, you're going to start going back and resolving over and over. You're going to feel better about something and then go, God, that just feels wonderful. And you might be thinking later, maybe weeks, maybe months, maybe a year or two. You might be thinking, there's something else that just really, from my past, that this is bothering me. So it'll be more of a personal path. I think that's what that's pointing to right there. That's what happened to me. There's a point where I felt good about resolving something, and boy, my feet didn't touch the ground. Time went by. Gradually, I adjusted to that, and what happened is I began to put something else that was unresolved, equally bad in its place, that I thought, oh my God, now I got to resolve this. Except then, I knew what to do. Cast your lot among us. Let us all have one purse. It's good or bad, the division happens. My son, walk not in the way with them. Refrain your foot from their paths. Don't go that direction. Don't turn away. for their feet to live life. They go just living regular life experiences. If we were looking at Adam's punishment, this is where God is telling him, you're going to just live off the land and you're not going to reap its full benefit, reap its full rewards. You're not going to be able to get there. For their feet run to evil and make haste to blood. So they become this raucous mess like in the Babylonian one. But there's nothing you can do to stop it. The mind is gone crazy, out of control. We're living internally, mentally. We can't figure out. Wisdom cries out. Her voice in the streets. What does that mean? I don't know. Her voice in the streets. Wisdom's a good thing. Verse 20 is a good one. 21 should be a step in the negative. She cry in the chief place of concourse. The chief place of concourse, that would be the mind again, and the openings of the gates. Yeah, turning inward. In the city she utters her words, saying, how long will you simple ones love your simplicity? Fools hating knowledge. I will teach you what to do. I've told you and you refuse. You don't pay attention to what I say. I don't know. I'm just going to laugh and mock. I don't know why that is there. When your fear come as desolation, your destruction comes as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish come upon you, when it acts out, when you get triggered, then you'll come upon me, but I won't answer, and you'll seek me early, but they won't find me. Yeah, you got to heal, not at the time it's happening. You don't look for my help at the time shit's hitting the fan. You got to fix it before it hits the fan, or in between the cycles. You got to pull the seed. Metaphorically, which means resolve the unresolved issues. Anyway, it's a struggle to leave the past. There is preference to do the bad stuff, but we need to move on. Okay, I better end this video. They get big. There's a lot to explain. It's just old stuff. I know that my channel is struggling for an identity. I don't really know what to do or what to talk about. I think I'm very boring as a teacher. It's very textual stuff, so it's not like it's exciting material. I guess. You would just have to have an interest in understanding it. So, at any rate, okay. So I wanted to show there's something very common there, and the way that it's worded, you have to look through those words and try to see what concepts are held in the verbiage, the whirlwind, the wheel, the cyclical, all of that kind of stuff, the manifestations, all of those. You begin looking at those and going, okay, there you go. It's something that is repeating. It's a cycle. And, all right, but all of that is very artfully in there. And it is very difficult for us to get into it because we don't spend the time. If you want to hear me do any more on Proverbs, put a comment below. Otherwise, I'll just move on to something else. Often I start moving into something like that, and people kind of like the first video, and then after the second or the third one, there's no views and no likes, so it kind of falls off. So typically these don't go anywhere. All right, take care. See you in the next video.